When I heard a new mobile game that featured Kim Kardashian was coming out, I wondered if it'd ever make it to the top of the app charts. What surprised me was that it did, and then it stayed there. Even as I say this, Kim Kardashian and the little game she endorsed is sitting high and mighty as one of the top grossing games on iOS or Android. As I'm sure many people had experienced, I got curious about the game. I wanted to see if it was truly a fun and engaging experience that could stand on its own. I went and downloaded it on my iPad and began to play. I found out that Glue, the company that made it, had already made a similar game called Stardom Hollywood, which seemed to be very popular all by itself. You begin by making a character who you can customize the look of, who works at a clothing store in downtown LA. One night after closing, Kim comes by your shop with a closing emergency. You help her find what she needs, and then your relationship with her sets you on your way to stardom. The graphics are definitely something to give praise. It's drawn in an enjoyable art style that fits the theme, and there's lots of variety in terms of closing and facial combinations to keep it interesting. The background scenes in the various locations all fit the design perfectly, and there's rarely a lack of immersion. The animations for the characters are mostly perfect, and the characters shift around frequently, which prevents the visual aspects of the game from becoming too stale. Though the visuals are great, I found myself a bit disappointed with the audio. Don't get me wrong, the music when it plays fits the game excellently, and even the occasional audio clip of Kim's voice doesn't stand out too much. But if you stand in an area for too long, the music will stop repeating, and then all the background noise that you hear is just people that sounds like they're talking to each other in a room. This is most obvious in the clubs you visit, where people in the background are wildly dancing around with no music. On the whole though, the music is well made, albeit simple, and captures attention. So in terms of the aesthetic of the game, nothing glaring appears to be wrong. The game looks, sounds, and feels good with the immersive effects, and there doesn't seem to be any glitches that I can find with my week-long stint with it. But Kim Kardashian Hollywood has a very large problem. It's incredibly boring. The game mechanics are laid out so you get one action point every 5 minutes. You use these action points to complete events. The game functions as a large narrative with side quests and a main story to complete. When you go to an event such as a photo shoot or an opening, you stand around in an area and tap on events to perform them. Completing these actions increases your rating, and the event will end after a set time limit or once you've achieved 5 stars. For example, going into a photo shoot might have a 1-hour limit, and pose for the camera or change wardrobe may or may not fill one of the 5 required stars. And that's really about all there is to it. Every time I open the game, I'm allowed to play for a few minutes before there's nothing left to do. Even if you're out of action points, you can travel around to all the various places and attempt to network with NPCs, but that doesn't solve the larger problem. If I'm doing an event that lasts for 8 hours, which many of the main story quests seem to do, and I come back 4 hours later, there's nothing more to do but dump my action points into things such as dazzle the crowd or schmooze, and then hit the power button again to turn off my screen. There's many cities to go to in the game, including Miami, Las Vegas, London, etc., but the same formula applies. In the end, despite being very solid in the look and feel of the game, Hollywood is lacking on the content. Feel free to download it on iOS or Android, but I wouldn't recommend taking it very seriously or playing it more than a day or two. It earned high ratings on those 2 markets, but I feel Kim Kardashian and her game don't garner up good enough to hold interest. As always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe.